Alright, media, we have one last test going straight through to the press trains. This will not be going out to the PAs, but instead directly into the press trains. Sorry, I'm 5'11". There you go. Here is your 1, 2. Here's setting your levels. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is, no pressure, your last chance. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's a test. 1, 2. How are we feeling, everyone? Are we all honky-dory? Are we all happy? I'm trying to find the one member of media who requested this. I'm not seeing him. He had these beautiful yellow glasses. There you are. Perfect. All good, guys? 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm stepping away now.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. 2 months ago, I was at a rink in Edmonton where I'd learned to play hockey. And that's about as far as you can get from the grandeur of Rideau Hall. And I was there because I was putting up my hand to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. And I was doing that because I knew our country needed to take action. We needed to act to fix our economy. We needed to act to fight the Americans. We needed to act to deal with Donald Trump's tariffs. Il y a 9 jours, notre nouveau gouvernement a prêté serment et nous sommes immédiatement passés à l'action. Cette semaine, nous avons conclu un nouvel accord portant sur la défense nationale avec l'Australie pour protéger le Canada. Nous avons renforcé nos relations en matière de sécurité avec la France et le Royaume-Uni pour protéger les Canadiens et les Canadiennes. Nous avons lancé des discussions sur de nouveaux accords commerciaux avec l'Union européenne pour aider davantage les entreprises canadiennes. We eliminated the tax on carbon for consumers, for small businesses, and for farmers to end the division that it was creating amongst Canadians. Because we are stronger together. We reversed the increase in the capital gains tax so that builders are encouraged to take risks and be rewarded when they succeed. When I met with the premiers in Ottawa on Friday, we agreed to eliminate barriers to trade and mobility inside our country. And the federal government is leading by committing to legislate the end of all federal barriers to interprovincial trade by July 1st. Together, we will push to create one Canadian economy by Canada Day, because we are stronger together. This past week, we acted to protect workers, using the proceeds of our retaliatory tariffs against America's unjustified trade actions. We acted to unlock major infrastructure projects and get them moving rapidly, including clean and conventional energy, critical minerals, and new trade corridors with reliable trading partners. We acted to create new supports for farmers and businesses during this trade war. We expanded dental care for millions of more Canadians. And we took all of these actions and more to create the foundation to build a stronger Canada. There is so much more to do to secure Canada, to invest in Canada, to build Canada, to unite Canada. That's why I'm asking for a strong, positive mandate from my fellow Canadians. I've just requested that the Governor-General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th. And she has agreed. We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other. Nous savons que nous devons veiller les unes sur les autres. Nous ne pouvons pas contrôler le président américain, mais nous pouvons contrôler notre destin. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can control our destiny. We can have a new Canada built by us, for us. We can give ourselves more than any foreign government can take away. And the best way we can deal with this crisis is to build our strength here at home and help people who will be hit hardest by these tariffs. That's the right thing to do. That's the fair thing to do. That's the Canadian thing to do. That's what makes us strong. As part of that strategy, today I'm proposing a middle-class tax cut to help all working Canadians get ahead. We will cut the lowest income tax bracket by 1 percentage point for a middle-class tax cut that will benefit a two-income family by up to $825 a year. Aujourd'hui, je propose de réduire les impôts pour la classe moyenne pour aider tous les travailleurs canadiens. Nous réduirons d'un point de pourcentage la tranche d'imposition la plus basse. Cette réduction d'impôts pour la classe moyenne permettra de redonner $825 à une famille à deux revenus. I'm asking Canadians for a strong, positive mandate to deal with President Trump and to build a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. Because I know we need change. Big change. Positive change. You see, my generation was fortunate. For us, there were more opportunities and life was more affordable. You had to work hard, but you could get ahead. That was the bargain. But for the generations that have followed, they're working just as hard or even harder than we did. But they're struggling to pay the rent, to put groceries on the table, and to save for their kids' educations. J'ai passé toute ma carrière à comprendre comment le monde fonctionne et comment il pourrait être amélioré pour nous permettre d'en tirer le maximum. C'est ça qui a été notre priorité ces 9 derniers jours. Et ça restera toujours la priorité de notre nouveau gouvernement. Le défi est de taille, mais je veux que les Canadiens et les Canadiennes comprennent que nous avons tout ce dont nous avons besoin pour réussir ici au Canada. Si nous avons le bon plan et si nous travaillons ensemble. Parce que bâtir un Canada fort, ça prend tout le monde. Et il faudra faire preuve de leadership. It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never fixed anything. It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never built anything, when you've never had to make a payroll. But negative slogans aren't solutions. Anger isn't action. Division isn't strength. Negativity won't win a trade war. Negativity won't pay the rent or the mortgage. Negativity won't bring down the price of groceries. And negativity won't make Canada strong. Nous avons vu où la négativité et la division ont mené les États-Unis. Nous sommes plus forts quand nous sommes unis. Ils vont s'affaiblir parce qu'ils ne le sont plus. Alors, unissons-nous en cette période de crise. I love Canada. Our country has given me everything. I stood up in Edmonton 2 months ago, and I'm standing here today because I want to give it all back to Canada. So that every Canadian kid, whether they're growing up in Nanaimo or Montreal or St. John or Scarborough or Inuvik, has the same opportunities that I had, the same hope, the same confidence in a brighter future. It's time for all of us to come together and be strong. So I'm asking for your vote so we can be Canada strong, Canada fort. Vive le Canada. And with that, I'd be pleased to take your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll begin our question period. We'll take 15 minutes of question, one follow-up. Merci. On va prendre 15 minutes de questions, une question et une question suivie. Première question.
Good afternoon, Tonda McCharles with the Toronto Star. Sir, why are you throwing the country into an election in the middle of a tariff war? And if you think it's so necessary now, then why not make it longer so Canadians can really test drive you to see if you represent the change you claim to represent?
Well, a couple of things, Tonda. First is that we have put in place a tremendous amount of change in the 9 days that I have been Prime Minister. That includes changes to taxes, including the announcement today of a middle-class tax cut. But very importantly, we put in place protections for workers. So we made a commitment right from the start that we would use all revenues from retaliatory tariffs to protect our workers. And we put in place changes to the EI system in order to do that. I note that Mr. Poilievre has taken that money and said he will use it for a tax cut. Doesn't care about workers being in place. We put in place protections for businesses through this period. We have shown the scale of our ambition in terms of creating what Canadians have asked for. And I've heard this time and time again across this great country. Canadians want one Canadian economy, not 13. They want us to break down those barriers. So we brought together the first ministers, the premiers of the provinces. We hammered out a consensus about achieving that. We're picking up on the model that Nova Scotia and others have put in place. We're making a commitment at the federal level to legislate the removal of all these barriers by Canada Day so we can have free trade by Canada Day. So we've done a lot. I could go on, but we've done a lot in the 9 days to put in place many of the foundations. But what's important is that the government has a mandate from the Canadian people to finish the job of building that Canadian economy, to finish the job of diversifying our trading partners, and to have a strong mandate to stand up to Donald Trump and the Americans and negotiate the best deal for Canadians. And that's what I will do.
After that meeting Friday night, you said you linked Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives to Elon Musk and Donald Trump's approach to cutting taxes, regulations, foreign aid. Mr. Poilievre's just staked out his own platform pitch to Canadians right now, today saying that he will stand up to Trump, that a liberal's still just a liberal. So on what basis can you fairly compare the Canadian Conservatives to Trump-style Republican Conservatives?
Well, first, the comparisons are quite easy. You look at the language mirrors, and the track record of language stretches back over years. It's not a recent phenomenon, so straight from the language, number one. Secondly, from the intention. So Elon Musk stands up and says, and the Trump administration eliminates foreign aid. Within a few days, Pierre Poilievre flies in and out of Nunavut and says, I'm going to eliminate foreign aid. By the way, doesn't talk to the Premier, doesn't talk to local Indigenous leaders while he's there, not our approach, obviously. So a series of words plus proposals which are uncannily familiar with the proposals of the Trump administration. Very different from our approach, very different from an approach, for example, to building a housing market, both offering much greater supply, very different from our approach. I'll give you one last example because I know there's a long lineup of questions. Today, we announced that we are going to expand dental care. Now, the dental care program that was put in place several months ago now serves 1.8 million Canadians. 1.8 million Canadians have received dental care under this program. These are people who could not afford dental care previously. Pierre Poilievre pretends they don't exist. We've just expanded the potential pool by another 4.5 million Canadians who also are in that situation. That is a very different approach to Canada. That's a Canada that brings Canadians together, protects all, and that's the Canada we're offering.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Ashley Burke, CPC News. You've repealed the capital gains tax changes, and you're promising this middle-class tax cut, but you're also making new spending commitments. So how do you plan to pay for that, and what kind of cuts will you have to make to keep up with your promise of a deficit below 1% of GDP?
Well, a couple of things. One is that we are looking at driving efficiency in government, in other words, productivity in government, by flipping around the approach to government, which is to concentrate on the outcomes as opposed to the dollars in. And so that's part of the reason why, it's the core reason why we put in place a new Ministry Department of Government Transformation, use a series of reviews on programs, but also new technologies, AI, to drive those productivity. I'm going to, if I may, Ashley, just clarify something which you said, which is that we're differentiating between spending less as a government, and I would recall that government spending has gone up around 9% on average over the last several years. So we're going to get that level of spending increase down. That in and of itself will create room. But what we're concentrating on is Canada investing more. It is time to build. It's a tremendous time to build out this economy. It's what we need to do to create jobs, higher paying jobs and growth. And we will use scarce taxpayers' dollars to catalyze huge private investment in the likes of opportunities that we discussed as First Ministers on Friday. And for those who didn't watch it, I can understand why people wouldn't have watched that, so I'll say it now. This is clean and conventional energy. These are new trade corridors. This is millions and millions of homes in this country to get the cost of new homes down for all Canadians. And that's what we're looking to do as a government. That's what we will do as a government. And we put many of the foundations in place in just 9 days. We're asking for a mandate to finish that job. En français maintenant ou après?
Oui, sur ce que vous coupez juste
alors, en ce qui concerne l'assainissement budgétaire, ça implique plus la productivité du gouvernement que les réductions des dépenses actuelles. Alors, c'est une question de mettre l'accent sur les résultats, pas les dépenses eux-mêmes. Deuxième point, nous mettons l'accent sur l'investissement au Canada, afin d'utiliser les dollars gouvernementaux afin de catalyser des grands investissements privés en ce qui concerne le logement, le secteur d'énergie propre, le secteur d'énergie conventionnelle et les minéraux critiques et tout cela que nous avons discuté aux réunions des premiers ministres.
You're a new leader, but the Liberal government has been in power for a decade. Your ministers served under the Trudeau government. Why should Canadians believe that when you say that you represent something different and change?
Well, I have several things. The first is that you've seen a change in approach and action. It's not words, but action. So the changes to the tax regime that I've mentioned, the changes to our approach to housing, you'll see much more in the coming week in terms of increasing dramatically the supply of housing. A change to the approach to our external trading partners and our security partnerships with the accords with France, with the United Kingdom, the building out with the European Union. Changes to the coverage of healthcare in this economy. So all of those steps, the scale of ambition and change in creating one Canadian economy. And I think one of the things that I would emphasize is that I recognize, and my government recognizes, the need to act dramatically and act rapidly to build an economy that's strong for Canada, to control what we can control, to build for us and by us. That's what we're doing. The other thing I would add is that we have some very strong members of our caucus, of ministers. I'm fortunate to serve with them. We are recruiting some exceptionally strong candidates. across this country. Some have been announced. Many more will be announced in the coming days. This is a renewed government, and the proof is in the action, and the action has been considerable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carney. Christopher Nardi from the National Post. So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith recently said that she had asked the United States administration to pause their tariffs during the federal election because they were benefiting Liberals in the polls and hurting Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre. What is your response to those comments, and will you be able to work with the Premier in light of that revelation?
Well, my responsibility is to work with all Canadians, with all stakeholders, certainly with the premiers, with national Indigenous organizations, with Labour, with other stakeholders, with everyone. So that's my responsibility. I take that seriously. I was pleased that at the First Minister's meeting we had unanimous consent on our communique, on our objectives. We have to follow through with action for that. With respect to the Premier's comments, I take note of her alignment of Mr. Poilievre with Mr. Trump, and would note that that's one of the decisions that Canadians will have to make, whether they want a government that is unifying, that's standing up for Canada, and is taking focused action to build a better economy, or they want division and Americanism, and that's what Mr. Poilievre seems to be offering, and just endorsed by the Premier of Alberta.
In French, on Ms. Smith, please.
En ce qui... Oh, mon Dieu. OK. C'est beaucoup. Alors, première chose, étant Premier ministre, je travaille avec tous les groupes, les premiers ministres, puis les chefs d'Autochtones, les syndicats, les ouvriers, tout cela, les sociétés, bien sûr. OK? Ça c'est mon job et je le fais. Et il y a un exemple avec le consensus que nous avons agréé vendredi dernier aux réunions des premiers ministres. D'autres points. Il semble que Madame la Première ministre d'Alberta dise que, en effet, M. Poilievre et M. Trump sont les mêmes. Ça, c'est le choix pour les Canadiens. Les Canadiens, un Trump canadien ou un gouvernement qui unit notre pays, qui met l'accent sur l'action afin d'avoir une économie forte qui travaille pour tous les Canadiens et Canadiens.
Pas facile, hein, faire le saut français.
Oui, c'est un service de traduction ici, comme Premier ministre. Alors, vas-y.
During the leadership campaign, you promised to, quote, cap immigration until it reached sustainable pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic immigration levels were rising. So will you be lowering, maintaining, or increasing current immigration levels?
Yeah, this is an important question. So the way I would characterize the situation is that post-COVID, there was a surge in immigration, both in temporary foreign workers, in foreign students, as well as permanent immigration, and we have not lived up have not lived up to the bargain with those people. There's not adequate housing. Not everyone who came here for an education was getting an education that they would expect. And a consequence of that, many other aspects, but a consequence of that is the new caps that have been put in place on much lower levels of immigration, including temporary foreign workers, including foreign students. And those caps, or something similar to those levels, in my judgment, need to remain in place until we've expanded housing. We've reabsorbed the levels of immigration that have happened in our country, and so there's not a predetermined point where one would remove or adjust those caps. Si je peux dire, parce que chaque question est en anglais et en français, si je peux dire en ce qui concerne au Québec, un aspect d'immigration au Québec, c'est une question d'intégration des immigrants à la société québécoise. Et il faut avoir un rythme qui est d'accord avec ça, tout cela.
We'll do last question. Dernière question, s'il vous plaît.
Judy Trin with CTV News.
C'est pas chaud aujourd'hui, hein?
Prime Minister Carney, you're a practicing Catholic. You went to church before you visited the Governor General this morning. Do you explicitly support a woman's right to choose? And how
Absolutely.
will your faith impact your policy deliberations should you
Yeah.
win this election?
Thank you for the question. I wouldn't have drawn attention to the fact I went to church, but thank you for noting it. I absolutely support a woman's right to choose unreservedly, and will defend it as the Liberal Party has defended it proudly and consistently. I will defend the Charter proudly and consistently, as the Liberal Party does. I would say this: I don't speak about these matters. I think what's relevant, when I say matters, my personal faith or spirituality, but I'll say what's relevant is that it informs my sense of responsibility and service. I feel, that I should serve our country the best I can. And if I go back to my journey to be standing in front of you here, I did feel at the turn of the year, as the crisis bore down on us and the need for big change, that I should put my hand up and be part of that change. I'm humbled that I was chosen as leader of the Liberal Party. I'm privileged that I have had this time in government, a short time in government. We have made major changes to put Canada in a stronger position, a much stronger position. But much more needs to be done, and that's why I'm standing here in front of you and have asked, and the Governor General has agreed, for us to have this election so that we can make real change, positive change that brings this country together and builds an economy that works for everyone.
Why did you choose to run in the riding of Nepean, and what was involved in your decision in terms of also the fact that Mr. Chandra Arya, who has represented this riding for quite some time as a Liberal, what is the situation involving him being disqualified from running in this race? And do you live in this riding?
So several things there in your question. First, the decision of candidates selection or candidate approval, we have within the Liberal Party a committee called the Green Light Committee, which takes into account various information about candidates, does basic candidate due diligence, if I can put it that way. Mr. Arya, so I am not a member of that committee. They take their decisions. Mr. Arya, as you know, was disqualified from the leadership race for the Liberal Party because of certain factors. That informed the decision, is my understanding, of the Green Light Committee to recommend that he be disqualified as a candidate in Nepean. Now, from my perspective, I've been a resident in the Ottawa area for almost 20 years, with the exception, of course, when I was quite obviously a resident in London when I was Governor of the Bank of England, but apart from the time when I was Governor there, I've been resident in Ottawa. I know Nepean well. I was best man to Peter Chiarelli, who grew up in Nepean, so from Barhaven to Bell's Corners and in between, it's an area I know well. And in many respects, it's representative of many of the aspects, not all the aspects, but many of the aspects of this country. Median incomes around probably $50,000, $55,000, so a little less than the national average, but in there. Very diverse, both the opportunities and the challenges that we face as a country, and those are challenges that I'm looking to address. That's why I put my hand up. That's why I'm here as Prime Minister. That's what I'm eager to move forward with my Liberal colleagues on, and this is the positive vision that we're putting forward for the people of Nepean, the people of Ottawa, the people of Ontario, the people of Canada. Thank you very much.
En français, monsieur, sur monsieur Arya, puis est-ce qu'on peut avoir une question en français aussi après, si c'est possible?
D'accord. OK. Il y a deux requêtes. En ce qui concerne M. Aria, il y a un processus dans le Parti libéral pour chaque candidat qui s'appelle le feu vert, un comité, le feu vert. Et il y a des considérations que la comité à prendre en mesure afin de prendre une décision. En ce qui concerne le PN, je peux arrêter là afin d'avoir l'autre. Question finale en français, madame? Oui. OK, d'accord.
Oui, bonjour, M. Carney, Sandrine Biera avec le journal Le Devoir. Ma première question et ensuite un suivi, si c'est possible. Vous dites que vous voulez rendre la fonction publique plus efficace, mais pouvez-vous nous donner un ou deux exemples de programmes que vous comptez couper?
Non, il y a d'autres choses. Il y a deux choses. Par exemple, si on a un programme afin d'accélérer l'investissement dans le logement, il y a une question pour chaque dollar du gouvernemental, combien de dollars du secteur privé va être investi? Alors, c'est une question de productivité, pas de couper.
Et vous n'avez toujours pas parlé à M. Trump depuis votre arrivée. Les relations avec les États-Unis sont maintenant au cœur des préoccupations des électeurs. Ils voudront choisir au terme de la campagne la meilleure personne pour faire face au président. Donc, est-ce que vous vous engagez, considérant que ça sera une campagne très courte, à rencontrer ou vous entretenir avec M. Trump pour démontrer aux Canadiens que vous êtes capable de lui faire face?
Je suis bien capable de lui faire face.
Mais est-ce que vous vous engagez à le faire avant?
Ouais, il y a des conditions maintenant. Monsieur le Président, lui doit reconnaître que le Canada est un pays souverain. Il faut le dire. Il faut l'accepter. Avant d'avoir une grande discussion en ce qui concerne un accord commercial.
Donc, vous ne parlerez pas à M. Trump tant qu'il ne dit pas que...
On n'a pas de réunion. On parle toujours. On peut parler toujours.
Okay.
Alors, c'est tout.
Merci. C'est ce qui m'a fait à la conférence de presse. Thank you.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance.